Trump essentially put to sleep the entire division of law enforcement that was specifically tasked with keeping an eye on Iranian domestic terroristic threats. Let that sink in for a second. Hey everybody, welcome back to Reason Rises with myself, Doug V. A few exciting announcements. I'll get them quickly out of the way. But I've already mentioned to you guys we've got sponsors coming up. I might even, this video might even be sponsored by the time I get the editing done on it. Also, I just snorted, so that's cool. Also, we are getting our live show up and running. I am trying to get the first guest solidified. As soon as I do, I will definitely let everybody know. Next thing is, if you are listening to this pod on audio only, thank you so much. You make up the biggest chunk of our viewers, listeners, is going to be on the audio platforms. But I will let you know that the YouTube channel is where it's at. If you've been expecting more frequent releases, etc., there are more frequent releases on the video channel. So please go subscribe on YouTube, Reason Rises, or if you want the direct link, I'll of course post it, but just go to youtube.com/@DougV Reason Rises, all one word. And give me a subscribe, do some commenting, do some sharing, etc., etc. There's more releases over there, but way more importantly than that, there is on-screen fact-checking of myself constantly. So when I mention something that I'm not quite sure on or what have you, the YouTube channel actually gives you specific statistics as well as often live links right there on the page that are easy to type into your browser and just see where I'm getting my information, which you should be doing anyway with really any podcaster, but I like to think that's one of the things that makes this podcast a little bit different. Also, super quick health update. If you are on YouTube, you can see that I look much better and I feel much better. I also got my teeth fixed finally, which means that I don't have to talk like this all the time and hide the fact that my teeth on top were terrible. I had a couple of, let's just say, really bad cavities right there in the front. What were they caused by? They were caused by a specific medication that is taken by keeping it in your mouth for 10 to 15 to 20 minutes at a time, that I've been on for years. And I can't mention them by name because I am involved in a class action lawsuit. But I will say, finally fixed. So while I will always maintain my trademark snaggletooth, my top teeth now allow me to do this. I can actually smile. So my face shouldn't look so weird when I'm making points and just talking. Although it is getting, it's hard to get back to a place where I remember how to smile, honestly, because it's been 3 or 4 years that I've been dealing with that. So, but I'm healthier. I feel better. I hope I look better. And let's get started from there. So this is going to be reasonably short. I've been trying to keep them short lately, and a lot's happened. I think the last time that we were spending significant time here, we were talking about ICE for the most part, and except for the last 2 releases. If you are listening on audio only, there is an entire episode with you and Allison, my international war crimes attorney friend from the DC Beltway, as we always bill him. That episode is available on YouTube anytime you'd like to go and watch it. And there are shorts that come out almost daily. Sometimes there'll be a few days in between. But that's because I don't want to give you guys stale material. So, and of course, I am running several companies on the side, and I'm also a husband and a father of 2 girls that require a lot of my time. So, all that said, thank you so much for being here. I couldn't be more thankful that anybody at all listens or watches what I do. Now, to the important stuff. If you are watching the YouTube channel, then you know that both myself and Ewan on the last episode came out and forcefully and definitively said, this is not World War III. We said there is no reason to worry about that. I think that the two of us had two separate ideas why. We both definitively said this is not World War III. My reasoning was that the world is not, the populations of the countries that are expected to be involved in a world war, that would be us, Russia, China. People think about other states like Iran, obviously, North Korea. That you can think about all the nuclear armed countries. I mean, the thing is, where do we draw the line? What is considered to be World War III? If you're talking about the entire world being destroyed by nuclear weapons, like in one single bout, that is one thing. If you're talking about somebody like Iran or North Korea setting off the equivalent of a dirty bomb, which is where you spread nuclear material using conventional explosives, but don't actually achieve fission or fusion, that's another discussion. There is a new dimension these days that for some reason never gets mentioned, which is that a world war can be fought almost entirely over cyber warfare. If you choose to turn off the water, the power, the internet for that matter, to any individual nation, you could cause a cascade effect that could be equal to the destruction of a small nuclear war, I would say. And the only reason I say small is because you wouldn't be looking at immediate people burnt to a crisp and buildings turned to dust, but you would be looking at a severe disruption in society that wouldn't go away easily. Now, Ewan's reasoning a little bit different, I believe, and I would have to leave it to him to explain that. So I would urge you to go and watch that previous episode that we did. Here's where I'm at now, knowing what I know, is whether you like it or not, and no matter which side you're on, the Republicans are looking at probably the worst drubbing in the midterms that may have ever happened in the United States. Race after race after race after race has gone the Democrats' way over the last year, a little bit over a year. People do not like what Trump is doing. People do not like what the Republican Party is doing. And the very first place you can look is your own wallet and your own vehicle. How'd you like those gas prices over the last week? Did you hear that while Iran is in the middle of mining the Strait of Hormuz, and mining doesn't mean going looking for minerals, it means putting mines in the middle of the waterway to where ships can't get through, that while they're doing that, our 4 minesweeper ships that were devoted to this got put on a dry dock container ship and brought back stateside right before we decided to do this strike. What about the fact that Iran has been extremely adept at not only killing and maiming our soldiers so far, but have also, oh, by the way, I'll correct myself. I believe it, I wish I had exact figures, but I'll put it down at the bottom of the screen. How many American soldiers have already been hurt, and I believe at least 6 or 8 killed. I feel ashamed that I don't know the number, but after this many wars and this much stuff that I've been paying attention for so many years, it's hard to keep exact figures in your head, especially when they're just starting to pile up. But not only are they proving to be good at that, they've proven to be good at taking out the radar systems that allow our THAAD systems to work. That's the, I believe, terminal high altitude. I'll put that at the bottom of the screen as well. But our THAADs, our Patriots, our, basically our ability to police the sky in that region depends on a few radar systems that have been adeptly taken out rather quickly and are slow to be replaced. Um, the planning wasn't there, and I'm going to say something controversial here, which is that if I were looking at presidential history and I had something like the Epstein files barking real loud and real hard, we'll go over a couple of the developments there in a second. But if I was looking at that and I was looking at midterms for my party that were going to be not just disastrous, but so incredibly disastrous that all the jury rigging, all the gerrymandering, all of the like voter suppression, all of the nasty tricks that you can do up and down, no matter what, are not going to change the fact that the drubbing is so extreme you won't be able to do anything about it. What would I do? I would look back at recent history. I would look at presidential history, but I would make sure that I thought about we're living in a different world right now that includes social media and includes instant communication around the world and includes the ability to lie like never before. And I would say, what was the last comparable situation? And the last comparable situation was when 9/11 kind of came along at the exact right time for President Bush. That's not at all to say or even suggest that President Bush caused or allowed 9/11 to happen. What I am saying is that when it did, Bush suddenly became a wartime president. His his approval rating shot through the roof. The American people essentially gave him carte blanche to do whatever he wanted to do. And even I actually voted for him for his second term. And I'm a staunch Democrat, as you guys know, or at least uh, I'm thinking of switching my party affiliation to independent. The main thing that's holding me back on that is Arizona's primary system. But I did vote for President Bush for his second term in office, and it was because of how I perceived his response to what was a very scary moment for us as a country. Now, any foreign policy expert or war expert or expert on Iran will tell you that there is a damn good fucking reason that no other president has done what Trump just did, attacking Iran. Now, I may have said it's not World War III. There are various reasons that I'm doubting myself on that, and we'll get into them in a different episode because I still think we have to see how the next week and a half plays out before I'm willing to die on that hill. But knowing what it can do for a president when they become someone who is suddenly defending everybody from a tangible threat, it's undeniable that it's beneficial to them and their party. He needs anything he can get right now. And here's what everybody knows or should know. Iran has some of the most effective sleeper cells in the world. Not only are they well known as the funders and the enablers of so many different terrorist groups around the Middle East, from Hezbollah to, even to Al Qaeda at times back in the day, to, I mean, you name it. I can't even name them all right now. They are definitive state sponsors of terror. And that is why I said I'm glad to see him gone. He's been a 30-year thorn in the side of the entire world. I wasn't wrong on that. But when you piss off Iran and you really, really poke the bear, you give them tacit permission to go ahead and release their sleeper cells, who, believe it or not, are quietly active here in the United States. They are lone wolf style terrorists. Trump essentially put to sleep the entire division of law enforcement that was specifically tasked with keeping an eye on Iranian domestic terroristic threats. Let that sink in for a second. Obviously, there will be a link at the bottom of the screen, as always, to back up what I'm saying. These are the things that you do when you are hoping against hope that something will come along stateside that's unavoidable, that's horrific, that turns the people into supporting whoever is presenting the facade of being strong and protective, which is Donald Trump's MO, right? I mean, he's the definition of the arsonist masquerading as a firefighter. He starts problems and then he brings things kind of back to the status quo, although usually not all the way. And then he claims credit for having fixed the problem that he's solved. It's just what he's done every single year that he's been president. Things are scary, guys. I mean, I'm not going to lie about that. I mean, it's fucking scary. There's no other way to put it. It's a scary, scary time. I can't even begin to tell you how pissed off I am that my gas has shot up to an amount that I can't afford. And I love when Trump goes on TV and says, I don't get why everybody's mad about high gas prices. We're making more money selling our oil than ever before. Excuse me? Excuse me, you tone-deaf ass fuck? Do you not understand that you're telling me to my face on television that I should be thankful that you and your billionaire buddies are making money like crazy, hand over fist, because the price of oil has shot up? You understand who's paying that, right? Me, the single soccer mom, the single mom who's on welfare that you wish weren't on welfare, but now she's spending her every extra dollar on energy that you promised to bring down, by the way, and groceries. Everything's more expensive. Inflation is out of control. And here in Arizona, where I live, I know that this is going to sound ridiculous to you California and New York folks, but I flip my lid when gas for my vehicle, which requires premium, went from $3.69 up to $4.25. Now, if I'm flipping my lid there, or excuse me, no, $4.25 is where I misspoke. $4.25 is where some of our gas stations have gone for $87 for regular gasoline, unleaded. I've started putting unleaded in my vehicle. It's not supposed to take unleaded. But you know what? If I continue putting premium in at every stop now at $4.89 a gallon, I can't, that is a serious hit to a pocketbook. No matter how hard you work, when you have a family to take care of and you've got bills out the wazoo and you've got, loans that have to be paid off and you've got everything else going on in your life, that raise in gas price, along with how expensive groceries have gotten, I mean, it has a real impact on your life. We're at the beginning of spring break here. People are leaving to go on fantastic vacations they've been planning for 6 months, and they are having to cut things off their vacations. These are people who have non-refundable hotels, non-refundable plane ticket, or excuse me, yeah, in some cases plane tickets, but non-refundable car rentals, all kinds of stuff. And when they factor in gas prices, they're having to look at their children and they're having to say, look, I know we planned on doing this and this and this. We're going to have to cut this, guys. I'm sorry. Because President Trump thought that right now was a great time to attack Iran. President Trump and Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio. These three men decided that they, after essentially gutting every resource that would have made this action even a plausible course of action, have decided to undertake it anyway with minimal knowledge, minimal foresight, minimal data, minimal anything. And what's happened? Well, what's happened is exactly what every single other presidential administration predicted would happen if they took this action, which is why they didn't. What they predicted was that the Strait of Hormuz would be closed down. The Strait of Hormuz is responsible for about 20% of the world's oil being transported to where it can be refined and gotten to our gas tanks, okay? Now, if you want to say that's okay because we're one of the largest oil producing nations in the world now, well, what would have been smart would have been if you were thinking about attacking Iran, you fill the reserves that we have as a country so that you'd be able to release that slowly. Well, they didn't do that because they didn't plan ahead. And then Trump released a huge amount of oil from our reserves. The IEA released 140 million barrels of oil. And what happened as soon as they did that release? Oil still spiked. Because you know what? When you cause this big of a problem, there is no band-aid you can put onto it, guys. There isn't a band-aid. We can make changes that might make it better over the next couple of months. But the way things are going, we're looking at probably here in my area, $6 unleaded gasoline. In California and New York, it could go God knows where. Can you afford that? Are you willing to make that sacrifice for 2 months? And if you say, yes, I am, then enumerate the reasons down in the comment section for me. What reason other than your undying devotion to Donald Trump could you possibly have for saying, yeah, no, I'm willing to make this sacrifice for sure. Me and my family and my kids understand. My kids totally understand that we can't take that trip that we planned on taking, or that their birthday party is going to have to be a little bit smaller than usual, and that we're not going to have as much food around, and that there's a possibility that dad and mom are going to be a little stressed out considering our gas, electric, water, sewer might get turned off because we're spending so much on day-to-day living that we might have to put off bills for a month, especially if we're paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, I'm willing to make that sacrifice. If you're saying that sentence, I'm so excited to hear the end of that sentence. What's the end? Put it in the comments. What's the end of your sentence? I'm so excited to make this sacrifice because what? Because you had a personal vendetta against the Ayatollah? Because you've been really heavily involved in Iranian politics? Because you were really concerned about the danger they were posing to their Middle Eastern neighbors? Give me the end of this sentence where you're okay dealing with this. Because the answer at the end of the day should be, I'm fucking not, and I never was. I was never okay with this. I didn't want this. I didn't think the president was going to do it. And by the way, when I voted for him, if you did, you voted for isolationism. You voted for no more nation building. You voted for no more foreign wars that last forever. You voted for peace. And what did you get? You got regime change in 2 different countries without a single bit of planning, where he cuts off the head but leaves the snake there to wiggle. You got your gas prices and grocery prices shooting through the roof. You got him focusing so much time, energy, and $2-3 billion so far on foreign excursions that could have been spent right here in the United States on domestic issues that we've all, Democrat and Republican, been hammering for. I'd love to hear the end of your sentence. I support this war in Iran because, and here's why I'm excited to hear the end, because almost no matter what you say, A, you're almost certainly lying because you're trying to just support your dude, and B, there's absolutely no way that it is preferable to what we could have accomplished here domestically with that same time, money, energy, foresight, thought, if any of it had been put in a smart way. What's happening right now could lead to horrific things. And I'm not even comfortable talking about them alone because I don't want to sound like a raving lunatic. So I'm going to get one hell of a guest on here. And we're going to talk about the Iran conflict. And don't worry, because it is not going away anytime soon. A couple more weeks, my ass. Do you know that when he hit Kharg Island, that is the lifeblood of Iran? Do you understand what that symbolically is to the Iranian regime? Have you seen the videos? I'll put a link at the bottom of the screen. Have you seen the videos of the underground tunnels they have with what seem like unlimited, unmanned munitions that are smart in the sense that they are incredibly cheap to produce? They have the production facilities underground. They have plenty of materials to continue producing them, and they don't need smart computer chips to run them. All they need is a human operator. A human operator who can either pre-program or actually fly or sail the thing, unmanned. These guys are not fucking around. This was never going to be an in and out operation, and I did make that clear. I said this is going to take years, and the ramifications are going to last the definition of forever. That's what I said. There's absolutely no chance this conflict is over in a few weeks. And the ramifications that you're dealing with right now are going to get worse before they get better, and they're going to last much longer than you think. You're worried about housing prices? I'm glad you are, because our president isn't. I'm willing to talk to anybody. I really am. But I'm not willing to pretend that there is any way to validate what Trump is doing right now. There just flat out is not. And if you're going to act like there is, I would love to hear your rationale for it. Now, a couple of things that I did want to cover before letting you guys go is what I'm going to be discussing as time goes on here, because again, this conflict is not going away, but there are lots of things we have to talk about. And I can't wait to get a good guest and do it in front of a live audience. But Trump is now saying, so one thing he said, I've got my phone out because I've got articles to look at that I've got listed here. One thing is that we did attack Iran's Kharg Island. Now, the Kharg Island is essentially central to their economy, okay? It's where most of their oil has to go before it can be transported somewhere else, and that's the center of their economy. We attacked it, but supposedly only attacked military installations. Trump has now said that we may go back and attack again and attack the oil installations, which he's been warned by people on our side. That's a terrible idea. It's a terrible, terrible idea, because if you permanently or even in the long term cripple their ability to export oil, it's a bigger deal than just fighting over Iran. It's fighting over everybody. He's been warned about this, so he decided to go out today and say that we might destroy even the oil facilities on Kharg Island. And what was Let's see. The rationale was, and this is a quote from the president, just for fun. We might go and destroy the world's oil economy just for fun. Uh, How tone deaf does this guy have to get before he loses all support? And another thing we're going to go over in upcoming episodes, do not worry, are the new revelations from the Epstein files, which include that the accountant who was working for Jeffrey Epstein testified the other day that Epstein, just like David, the guy from the National Enquirer, just like Cohen, his former fixer, Michael Cohen, who took out a HELOC in order to pay his Stormy Daniels payment, that Epstein actually paid off one of Trump's accusers, an underage accuser, was paid off by Epstein on Trump's behalf. Barely made a ripple in the news cycle. Why? For the exact reason you think. Because Trump knows what he's doing when it comes to marketing. And who's going to pay attention to that when we've got American service members over there fighting a stupid war fought by stupid leadership? Ultimately, fought by our brave men and women who, if I was a parent of one of those kids right now, I would just be, man, would I be angry. So, yeah, we might just go ahead and destroy Iran's oil infrastructure for the fun of it. Tell you what, I'm having a lot of fun with these gas prices, etc. We can talk about later on that a DOGE engineer, when DOGE was going on, which DOGE, by the way, lost money, didn't save any, spent more money, destroyed a bunch of our governmental institutions that were beloved, cherished, and helped the American public. And now it turns out that at least one of their associates obtained God-level access and gained access to two databases of social security numbers and voter info, which was stolen by that God-level associate. God-level in computer terms, by the way, guys, means you get access to absolutely everything. It means you can see everybody's everything. There's nothing in your way. This person stole two databases, which they plan to use for, well, I guess we can only say for God knows what purpose, but it's assumed for voter manipulation. Oh, there's so much. I'm looking at just an unbelievable number of articles that have been sent to me, and I will get through them. I will. I mean, at some point we got to do a bunch of 2-hour episodes or something. I don't know how to handle it, but it's got to be heard. One that's really fun that you may not have heard. One of Trump's most recent fundraising emails that went out was stating that if you donate a certain amount, you get access to his actual, real, private national security briefings. Now, I seriously doubt that promise will be kept, even if you do pay, because he doesn't keep promises. But assuming that he does, he's offering anybody with the coin literal national security secrets. You don't think that you don't think that any foreign adversary would just have a United States citizen go ahead and donate the money and get access? I mean, and on top of that, this being the same guy who left classified documents about our nuclear program, about everything we know about the Middle East, about the Iranian nuclear program, about the North Korean nuclear program, left these documents just sitting in a bathroom at Mar-a-Lago where anybody who has $100,000 can literally go use that bathroom, snap pictures while they're in there. Like, how does this stuff not get talked about? How do people continue to think that anything this guy has done is okay? If Biden or Obama had done one of the things that he does, one of them, you guys would have called for his execution, their executions. Unbelievable. There's so much here I can't even. And I said I was going to try and keep this short. Guys, you know, it's always been time to be scared, but so much damage can be done on a personal level to you and your life and your children's lives and your pocketbook and your future over the next 8 months, 9 months before the midterms. And so much can continue beyond that. Get angry. Get angry. Take it seriously. Pay more attention to the news than you've ever paid before. Be aware of what is happening to us, to our country, to your household. Be aware of what's happening when you're dealing with your health care. Be aware of what's happening when you're buying groceries, when you're buying gasoline. Be aware that people are being arrested and treated like criminals for using their mandated First Amendment rights to make change in the way they are mandated to do. None of this is acceptable or okay, or we're going to get over it, or it's okay to ignore. This is not a time when you can do the whole, well, the whole politics thing just bores me. So I just live my life and everything's going okay. Except, I notice I don't have any money lately. Here's the one thing I'll leave you guys with before I do another episode coming up soon. What I'm going to leave you with is, not only is it not okay to act like politics aren't important to your life anymore, not only is it not okay to ignore, but you do so right now at your peril, at your personal peril. I have never seen the United States of America in a place like this ever before. Nobody else was capable of bringing it to a place like this until Trump came along and until so many people flipped on their very beliefs and decided it was okay to put somebody who says, I grab women by the pussy because they let me do it, into the White House. We are reaping what we've sown. That's the simple fact of the matter. It's a sad place. It's a very sad place. I wish you all luck. I wish you safety. I hope that your children are not over in Iran having to participate in this, or for that matter, in the Middle Eastern region. And I hope that if they are, they come home safe. And I would urge everybody in my orbit to please stock up. Be ready for another 9/11. Be ready for the equivalent of another COVID, except even worse. I've never been a doomer. I've never been a prepper. But you better believe my family has water, food, guns, ammo, a backup plan, a place to meet that is self-reliant, that is off the grid. We have two, our family in particular, we have two places where we know we've got food, a commercial kitchen, sleeping for hundreds of people, and we have a secret place where there will be a note for our loved ones if communications go down. Iran has computer programmers, guys, good ones, and Russia has sworn to protect them. beyond what they've already done, which is give Iran the satellite locations of our soldiers and our fighters. Trump and Steve Witkoff say, well, they said they didn't do that, so we take their word for it. Oh, cool. But when you ask Vladimir Putin, did you do that? He says, we said that we would have Iran's back no matter what, and we absolutely do. And that's not going to change. They admitted that's what they're doing. I don't know if you can tell or hear it, but I'm so angry I can barely even keep my thoughts straight. So I think that means it's time for me to sign off. I love you guys. Dear listener, dear viewer, doing this is something that's important to me. I take your lives as seriously as I take my own. And I hope you heed whatever warnings I'm giving. And I hope you listen to other informed people who have something to say about this that can give you good advice. And yeah, have a wonderful night. Stay safe. Take care of your loved ones. Please like, please subscribe, please follow, please share, please comment. Please do all that. And I'd love to say be excited for the new things that are coming, but it's really hard to say be excited about much right now. This has very quickly turned from a slightly scary excursion into what could be the defining conflict of our lifetimes. And that's not an understatement. This could be the defining conflict of our lifetimes. And it's up to each and every one of us to pay attention, to admit if we were wrong, the way that I tacitly have here, and to prepare ourselves and our families for what's next. Because all of us have said many, many times from these two presidencies of Donald Trump's, it can't get any crazier. There's no way it can get crazier. It can't get worse. More can't happen. And every single time, we've all been proven wrong. More has happened. I love you guys. Stay safe out there. And again, if you are listening to this and not watching, please go to the YouTube channel. The fact checks are important, and I take my integrity very seriously. Signing off, it's me, Doug V. Reason Rises. And I will see you soon. I promise.